Hello everybody, it's me, Major Graph, and welcome to this very special 500 subscribers special! Yes, it's fireworks time, and today we are doing what is actually my most requested video. In the entire time I've been making videos, loads and loads and loads of people have been asking me to do a tutorial on how to build this enormous Colosseum that you can see before me. So it is finally time. This is a massive and complex build, so this is going to be the broad strokes, guys. I'm not going to go into absolutely every detail, but I will show you how to get the structure of this up and vaguely looking like this, and you can do the rest. Personalize it to your own tastes, give it your own little bit of flair. Before we start into the tutorial proper, just a couple of things. Obviously, I would really appreciate your subscriptions. If you're not subscribed already to the channel, it really does help. And guys, a bit of background on the build. This was actually started off as a team project on a very early Shadow Kingdom Towny server, but I did probably a good 90% of the building on this, so I know my way around this very well. If you guys were involved in that, mention yourselves below. I can't remember, as I said, this was several years ago. But with that all said, let's get on with the tutorial. Now, just a disclaimer, guys, I'm going to be using World Edit to make this much quicker to get this in. It's mostly circles to get the main structure. As you can see, we're going to start off making something that looks roughly like this, and I'll be talking you through how to do this. Obviously, I'm not going to go through how to make every single circle. You can get online and find lots of different circle generators that will help you build the circles. I will be telling you the size of each circle, and then you can head over to these websites here and you can get the guide for how to build those circles. But we're going to start with a base, so let's start new over here. Now, the first thing we need to do is define the base of our Colosseum, the floor if you like. So I'm just going to go one down here and do a quick command. As we are going through the video, guys, I will be putting the World Edit commands if you do have it to help you. If not, this first circle is a diameter of 109 blocks from this midpoint, which we need to keep safe. So I'm going to mark it there because we're going to be using that middle point a lot. If you want to make this with World Edit, it's actually a radius of 55 from the center to make this circle. Now we're going to be building two circles, one slightly above the other, to define the first wall around the arena, the fighting arena of the Colosseum itself. I'm going to be using this cut sandstone. You can use whatever blocks you like. Play about with this if you want to make it look a little bit different. I think it works well as a Colosseum. So as you can see, this is a circle, and it has a radius of 25 from the middle point outwards. That's at ground level. We're now going to make another one 7 blocks high, which means we're going to do 6 blocks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I am going to make another one of those circles again. And there you go. This defines the bottom and the top of our lower wall. Now we're going to do this again for the middle wall and then with the top wall. Now, as you can see, our circles at the moment are thin lines. They have these diagonal gaps, but we want them to look chunky and solid and help us with the build. So we are going to have to go in by hand and fill in all of these corners so that, as you can see, it turns into a more solid line. It's a little hard to see with the sandstone on sandstone, but I think you can see what I mean. Obviously, if you're making all of these circles by hand anyway, you can do this as you go along. If you're doing it with World Edit, you will need to come in afterwards and bob all of these in all the way around. Now, I've turned the floor to stone to make it slightly easier to see these sandstone walls here, and they're all now full thick walls, as you can see. I'm just going to give a little bit more explanation on that because it's going to get really complicated unless we don't fully understand this. When we are filling out these circles, this is a small diagram of basically how this works. It's like a donut. You've got the inner walls and then the outer walls. Now, when we're standing in here, we want to fill in the walls, the inner walls, from this side. So like we've done with the full-size version, like this, filling them in back into the building so they don't get any thicker out into that space. But when we're on the outer walls, we don't want to be making them thicker this way. This time we want to be on the inside facing out this way, and we will fill them in like that. So I hope that makes sense. I will keep pointing that out as we go along, but you're going to come across some problems if you do get that wrong. But as you can see, that's the effect that we're going for. Now at this point we're going to have the seating starting to come up at this point, the first row of seating. So there's going to be a few blocks higher until we get to that next wall that's going to be a bit further out. So we're going to go up a little bit further. We're currently standing on a block 6 high because we wanted this to be at 7. So now we want to go to 10 high. So go 7, 8, 9, 10. And that means the next one we put in will be at 11 height. Now I've just world edited this in at 11 high, and this time the radius for this is 33. So it's a little bit wider than our first wall. So first wall here, second wall here, and then we're going to have a third wall that's wider again. So we've got the base of our second wall in there at height 11. Now the next height it's not going to be quite so high as the first wall. The second and third walls are slightly smaller. So we're going to go up. We want it to be at level 14, which means we want to be standing on a block at 13. And we're currently standing on a block that's 10 high. So we're going to go 11, 12, 13. And we're going to do that command one more time and get an exactly the same circle. Obviously, if you're doing this by hand, you can just count up 3 more blocks and then start building that circle exactly the same as the one underneath it. But as you can see, it defines the next wall. And then we have to do just like we did before of coming in behind and making this all solid. Okay, so that's the inner wall number 2 defined. Now we're going to define inner wall number 3. So as I've said with the last one, we're going to get another set of the seating sloping up there till the next wall number 3, which is going to be at height 18. Now we are currently standing on 13 high. We need to go to 17 high to make that sit at 18. So we're going to go 14, 15, 16, 17, and then we can make the next circle. So there we go, that's the base of wall number 3 at 18 above the ground. So now we need one at 21, so we're going to go from 17 to 20 here, so 18, 19, 20, which will then allow us to do another circle at the level of 21. And there you go, we've now got 3 walls. We've got a large base wall, followed by some seating, a second wall, followed by some more seating, and then a third wall. So what happens from here then is we have one more set of sloped seating, and then we have a much larger inner wall that goes right up to the roof height of the Colosseum, as you can see over there. Now we want the base of that large inner wall to be at the height of 25, so we need to go up 4 here, we're on 20 here, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then we're standing at level 25, which means we can put the base in of this inner wall. Now this wall has a radius of 48, and it's going to be 12 blocks high. So there we have it. I have now got my inner wall here. I have put some of the cut sandstone at the bottom, and I've done the rest sandstone. As I've said, you can pick your own blocks there. You don't actually have to fill in the whole of these walls here on this last layer the way we've done with these other ones. Oh, I forgot to do these ones, but you know the drill by now. We're going to be filling them all in as we go. So as you look from above, you can see the arena here, the first wall and the room for some seating, the second wall, more seating, third wall, more seating, and then the upper inner wall. Now we need to start looking at the outside of the donut, the outer wall, which is actually these pillars here. We're going to define the top line of that first. So we're going to go back to our center spot right here. So as you remember, we were standing on 24 to make the base of that inner wall 25 high, and we went 12 up. So we're aiming for 36 high now. So we need to count up. So that's 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. And then if I stand on that, I will make an outer ring at 36 now. So the outer wall at the top here has got to be the same size, obviously, as the outside edge of our circle down below at the base, which, as I said, was 109 blocks across, which is a radius of 55. So we're going to do a circle with a radius of 55 at 36 height. And if you've got that ring in the right place, this ring here on the top of the outer wall should be exactly the same as the ring of your base. And just like we had to do with these rings here, we're going to have to fill in this to make it a solid line. But this time, because it's an outer wall, not an inner wall, we're going to fill it from the inside looking out, just like this. So there it is, that's the main structure roughed out, and just in case you missed any of those, I'm going to overlay on the screen here the heights of each of those rings here first of all, and then we'll also remind you from looking from above what the radius of each of these is. So just in case you're a little bit confused, the radius is from the middle point to the edge of the circle. So I've been giving you the figures for the radius from here to here, then from here to here, and so on. So I will overlay here the radiuses for each of these circles, just in case you got a little bit lost or a little bit confused. Now, the next job, now that we've got the top and bottom lines defined, is to fill out these walls. We've got 1, 2 and 3 walls that need filled out, but a little bit different than top wall. Instead of filling them like this, straight on top of the cut sandstone, we're going to go one back. So we're going to come in here and fill them up like that. And you can do that by hand, obviously, or you can do it with World Edit. I will put the commands up on the screen to show you how to do that quickly. If not, then it's just a slow process of going around each of these and filling them in. Once you've done that level, then you need to come up to this level and fill in the wall just like that. Obviously, there's less needed here because the walls aren't so high here, but you can see that once you're done, all of the walls will be filled in, and it will look something a bit more like this version over here, which we can show you now. You can see how all the walls are filled in with that different colour. It's good to break up the colour so you're not all sandstone. So I think the mix of the spruce slabs, the red terracotta and the sandstone goes quite nicely, but you can play about with your colours all you like. So there we go, that's all of the inner walls filled in and ready to go. We need to now start on the benches, these stepped areas that connect one wall up to the next and the next wall up to the next. So there's 3 levels of benches. Now there's 2 ways you can do that. If you've got World Edit, you can run those same circle commands, just go half a block higher and 1 block wider on your radius, and just keep filling it until you've got all of those layers in. That takes a bit of time, is a bit of faff. You can do it the much easier way. Honestly, it maybe takes a little bit more time, but certainly if you don't have a World Edit, and that is just start here, and we're going to go not on the top, we're going to do a lower slab there, and then we're just going to work our way down. Ooh, work our way down like this, and we should, if we've got it right, meet perfectly, just like that. And effectively, you start at the wall up here and work you down, and then move to the next bit. Whenever it comes out one, you just move the steps out one, and you should be able to fill in the entire of these rings of seats in exactly that way the whole way round. Now, a little thing of note, I have shown you an example of this over here, and we'll have a quick look at it. This was done with the world edit commands. If you do it with the world edit commands, you will notice that you have all of these holes in, which you're going to have to go in back in by hand and fill them in like that. And that's what it looks like if you do it with the world edit. The original was done the easy way, and we can have a look over there now. And as you can see, these steps have just been put down by hand from that lower layer up there all the way down, filled, all by hand without needing to refer to our circle generator. And to be honest, I think either way looks just fine. I don't think you notice a difference in quality, so that's entirely up to you which method you prefer to use. I should have mentioned as well, if you are doing this by hand, to start in the center of the circles, not at the diagonals, and do these a bit at a time, because you will get confused when you get to about the middle there when it's the most diagonal. So do these a few at a time. So you might want to start with those and then come over here and do the same ones over here, and then gradually work your way. So do that, then that, then that, and that, then that, then that, and then do a couple this side, and then a couple that side, then a couple this side, and then a couple that side, until they meet together. Otherwise, things are going to go a little bit skew with here in the middle. But it's trial and error. Don't worry. If it all goes wrong, you can always rebuild it. It's not too time consuming. I've gone ahead now and finished off the spruce seating areas there. Obviously, we still have got to put entrances in on each of the different levels and each of the 4 sides to get people in and out of the arena, but we're not going to do that now. We are actually going to move to the outside now, and we are going to start putting in some of these archways, getting the outer wall put together. And as you can see, it's actually it looks maybe a little bit complicated when you first glance at it, but the structure is really fairly simple. It's an archway like this, and the exact same archway stacked on top of it 2 more times, and that's basically what we're going to do. And then we're going to gradually curve those 3 archways around the circle. So obviously these archways are going to be built slightly differently depending on where around the circle they are. There are in fact only 5 different archways constructions that we need to know to be able to put in every single arch in the entire of this build. As you can see, we've laid out some numbers here so you can see what I mean. We're going to have the flat arch, obviously because it's on the flat part of the circle here, a flat one here, and then 2, 3, 4 and 5. And once you get past 5, actually the next arch is just 4, just mirrored across, and so on. So we're going to put these 5 together and then see if we can start filling in the rest afterwards. So before we start, we've got to make sure that this is exactly in the middle, so I like to mark a middle block there so we can get this done evenly, and then we count 1, 2, 3 out, and then a block, and then the same the other side, 1, 2, 3 and a block, and that's where your first arch is going to sit. And we are going to go up 7 on each side, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, and the same on the other side, and 7, there we go. And then we're going to do a slab there, and then we're going to go 2 more up, 1 more slab there, and then we're going to fill across. And that essentially is your archway design. Really quite simple. Now obviously we've got to fill in the wall around it, so the next spot outside of that we are going to do this time with the normal sandstone, and we just fill it all in like that. Really simple. And do that both sides. There we go. And then we want to go 2 more up after the archway, so 1 and 2. And you will notice that this, if we count it out, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blocks high. Now, if you've got a really good memory, you will remember that line there was at the height of 36, which means we can fit exactly 3 of those in, one stacked on top of each other. Okay, so now on to archway number 2, and we're going to start next to this. We're always going to have archway, wall, and then the next archway starting. That's the same pattern throughout. We can do our 7 up here, and then we're going to do our slab and 2, just like that. And then at this point, we're going to come 1 in this way, like that. So it comes in along the line of the curve. So we put the slab on, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the slab underneath it like that. And then we're going to go back 1 more again, like so. So now you can see this comes down the exact same way, 2 and slab. And then here we're going to bring it all the way back down. And that is archway number 2. Just like that, and just like we did the last one, we're going to fill that in. 1 more out from the archway, fill that up to 2 above the archway all the way along, like so. And there we have it. Archway number 2 is complete. Now obviously this looks very plain at the moment. We're only doing the shapes of the arches. After we've done the arches, we'll come back in and place in these pillars which act as the detailing afterwards. The detailing is really quite simple. It's just these pillars, which is just a line of blocks with these stairs and these fences in, and then every time we get to a level we just go out 1 and then put an extra level as a sort of a balcony, and then we do that again all the way across. Once you know how to do 1, it's again the same, 2 and then 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's just a recurring pattern. So once you know the pattern, it's really easy. But we're going to move on now and do number 3, just like over here. So we're going to start off just like we did the last time with our 7 up like that, and then we are immediately going to go in 1 here now. Unlike last time, we're going straight in, and we're going to go 2 up again, and then another slab, and we're going to do 2 across just like that. And once we've done that, we're going to go 1 back and do 2 more out like that, and then we're going to 1 back again and do that there and put the slab underneath it there. So as you can see, it's starting to curve slightly more at this stage. And while we're on this layer, we're going to put our 2 down and our slab, and then we're going to finish this off by coming 1 more back again to put our arch back all the way down to the ground, and that is archway number 3. Simple. I'm going to fill that in, and then we'll do number 4. So archway number 4, and now things start to go slightly differently here as we start to get more onto the curve of the building. Instead of building there like all of the others, we're going to go 1 back to start this archway, and we're going to do 7 up just like we've done every other time, and we're going to go onto the slab and the 2 blocks, and then here we're going to go back 1 with the slab and 2 blocks like that, and we're going to come back again for the next 2, and we're going to put the slab in there. Now you'll notice that here the lintel of the arch, the top part, every other time has been 5 blocks and 5 blocks, but here on archway number 4 it actually shortens to 4 as we start to change the arch to fit on this curve here. So just make sure that you don't miss that, and we're going to come 1 back, 1 more there, and put the slab in, and then we're going to come back 1 more for the other side of the archway to bring it down to the ground again. So that is archway number 4. And this time, as we fill in the wall, we are going to go 1 back straight away here when we build up that wall section, and as usual all the way up to 2 blocks above the archway, just like that. And we are done, and now we need to do archway number 5. So archway number 5, if we think about the building like a compass, if our cardinal points here, north, south, east and west, are where the number 1 arches are, number 5 is like the diagonal points, isn't it? It's the north, east, south, wests. So here we are, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're going to go immediately back for the next bit. So slab and 2, and then we're going to stay on that for one more, and we're going to do slab and a full block, and then here we're going fully diagonal here across the lintel of this arch. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 like that, and then we're going to put our slab in there. So you can see that just like this archway was 4 whole blocks, this archway is topped with 4 whole blocks again, and all we need to do now is to bring that back down. So we're going to put our 2 full and a slab, and then we're going to come 1 out again and bring it all the way down, and that's it. Slab number 5. We just need to fill in the walls, which again we start diagonally on this one all the way up, and we are almost there. Oops. 1 more layer to bring it up to the same height. And there we have it. That's our 5 differently constructed archways. Now, once we've got those 5 nailed, we can do every other arch on the entire of this build just by using one of these 5 arches. What I would recommend once you get to archway number 5 is don't try and build this next one here. It's going to be a 4 archway, but because it's on this side of the arch, it's going to be mirrored to that, which is going to be really, really confusing. So rather than do that, what I would suggest is come over to your next cardinal point, as I've done here, put in your number 1 archway, and then move from there around this way until you meet up there. So you're going to have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and then you've already got your 5 in, so you won't need to do that twice. So I'm going to fill that in now and then show you what it looks like. Finally, I finished all of my arches now. As you can see, all the way around we have a completed basic outer wall, which all we need to do now is detail and put a roof on. I will point out one thing whilst I've been doing this. Obviously, I said at the beginning that this build here was done several years ago, so I'm obviously refreshing my memory of how to build this as we go along. And I said to you guys that archway number 5 only had 4 across the top here. I've put in the arches and found for some reason I had a gap of 1, so I've had to put back in 1. So this 5th archway, as you can see here, now has 5 across, which is slightly different than that one. I think it might be something to do with the fact that this one was done using circles generated from the website that I pointed you to earlier. This one has been done somewhat using circles generated by the world edit commands, which may have been generated slightly differently. I don't know, that's my guess. So you will notice we have some sticking out bits here where they don't quite fully match up. It's not a big deal. Like I say, it was just a case of putting 1 extra block in there, and we can deal with these when we start to detail later as well. So that should right your problems. I put the numbers on the floor as well so that you can see what I mean about where the arches go. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we did on camera, and then once you get past 5, you're counting back down to 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's the way they work, and obviously on and around the whole thing. But the next job now is to start to detail, and this is going to be a couple of different phases. First of all, we're going to put a ridge around here at this level and this level and this level, where it sticks out a little bit, and then we're going to put the pillar details in at each of these intervals here. So the first bit is really, really simple. If you look at it here on the finished version, we've just got an upside down stair and then one of these chiseled blocks on top on the top 2 layers above the archway. So we've got archway, upside down step, and then the chiseled block. So we can do that now. Now, I'll show you a tiny bit on camera, but I don't need to show you too much. It's really simple. Once you get to a point where the build steps back one, you just step back one, like that. Don't need to make this too complicated, just like that, and so on and so on. Obviously, once you get to a certain point in the middle, probably around here, you're going to have to swap your directions. So let's just show that for you now. We're going to keep going here. This is archway 4. Yep, archway 4. And here we get to archway 5. And we will get to the middle here. And then we can turn directions and start coming this way. So that when we get all the way around to the front again, these are still sticking out the right way. Really simple, just like that. I've done that in no time at all. Just like that. And obviously we go all the way around. And once we've done that layer, we just come in with our chisel blocks on top and just lay them in on top, just like that. On top of every single stair block that you've put in, we put in a chisel block. So now we've got those 3 ridges put in, what we're going to start doing is these details here, these pillars that just add a little bit of variation and texture. You can do these with any blocks. I know I'm doing these with the sandstone blocks, but by all means, be creative, use different block choices if you want, anywhere you like, really do personalize this. So what we've done here, and I put 1 in already, we'll do another one over this side, is we just come in here where the wall is, in between the arches, and we're going to go all the way up to, whoops, there we go, all the way up to here. And here where we've got the stair and chisel block, we can take them out and make them go all the way up like that. And then all we're going to do is we're going to bring this out like that. So 3 there, and then you can take your stair blocks and you can make them join up just like that, so that they go around there like that. We're going to put some stairs down here, 1, 2, 3, just to give a bottom. And then here, just where the archway moves out 1, we're going to do the same but upside down stairs like that. And then all we need to do is put in those wooden blocks. And I put a torch here. I'll be honest, folks, I can't quite remember what kind of fences I used, but I'm using dark oak there. And I put a little torch on there. It just helps with the lighting. Obviously, in the night time, this is a big building, it's hard to light. So just having those lights on the pillars really does help. But once you've done 1 like that, as you can see, exactly like the pillar across the way, all we need to do is, just like we did with the arches, go 2 more up. The exact same design all the way up. And there we go, that's our first set of pillar details put in on our front 1 arch. You will have to consider that these designs start to work a bit differently as we start to place them round here on the more curved edges. So what I will do quickly is show you. You're going to need to know how to do, I think, 3 more. Yeah, so we need 1 is here, which is exactly the same as that. I'm not going to show you the next pillar because that's an exact carbon copy of those ones that we've seen already. But I will show you how to do a pillar here at in between 3 and 4 and a pillar here between 4 and 5. Once you've got those, again, it's just rinse and repeat all the way around the building. Now, I said that the pillar between 3 and 4 is slightly different. It's not really enough different to have to show you it block by block. You can see it's here, and it really does work exactly the same. All it means is it just sticks out by 1 because that wall goes back 1 instead of being level with the other. So you can see it works pretty much the same. It's the exact same design all the way up. You might want to play around a bit here and figure out what works best for you with your upturned blocks. I've made it kind of turn out there so it leaves a little gap. I think that's just for you guys to play about with and see what works for you. You really don't notice it too much, so it doesn't matter a whole lot. But it's basically the same pillar again, so go for it. So yes, as I'm doing 3 to 4 here, I will show you this. The only real difference here is, oops, no, I wanted the chisel. There we go. When we do 1, 2, 3, you've got to put 1 behind, obviously, to connect that up. And then here, you're doing exactly the same with the stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to play about with how those connects, you can. If not, then don't worry about it. It's fine. So, on to our last and slightly different, maybe you might consider it slightly tricky. I don't think it is. It's actually less blocks. If you're making this in survival, that's always a good thing. We don't need to, this time, build the extra layer of sandstone out like we did here when we built the extra, the main column first. We're just going to use this as that line, so we can go straight in with your stair blocks. So we'll put the stair blocks in there and then upside down there, just at where the archway splits off, just like we did here. And then here we are going to go 1, 2, 3 extra chisel blocks, and we're gonna fill in these here so that they join up nicely in that zigzag continuous style. And that's pretty much it. We just rinse and repeat then, just like this, and then we get to here, we're going to pop in 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do your stair, 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 and there, and one more time, 1, 2, 3, and fill in there, and there. And once you've done that, it's exactly the same thing. We're going to put in the fences. Obviously this time you've got no room for the torch because we don't have the third cornice or whatever we're going to call it here. So I think over here I just put them on the outside. If you can see they're sitting outside of the wood. Here, one here, and one here. Again, you can put your lighting however you like. You don't need to follow my instructions there. I thought nice and symmetrical and roughly the same height as the other ones works nicely. As you can see, same level. So there we go. That is your outside wall detailing all done. You just have to carry on until you've done it all the way around. Okay, so once we've got the outer walls done, we just need to finish off a roof. And to be honest, you can do things lots of different ways here. You can go a bit off on your own designs if you want. I'm going to give you a quick demo on how I've done this top section for me. As always, make it your own, play about with it. This is just probably the most basic design because it was done in survival. So, as you can see, we're just using sandstone and the sandstone steps and some of the red terracotta that we've got here. Again, you can use whatever colour and whatever block you have available to you. But the first things we need to do is to come over to our building here, and what we're going to do is we're going one in. If you can see, this is sitting one back from your outer ring here, sitting on top of what is the original wall here at this level, and we're going to go 3 up all the way along. So we're going to place them here like this, and we're going to just go to there and just do this section first and just go 3 up. And that is it. All we then have to do is just make sure we're doing the furthest back blocks all the way along. So just like that, all the way around the ring. And by the time that you've finished, you should have that section done. So once we've got our 3 high wall on top, all we are going to do is place a normal stair on top of those blocks there, and we're going to do an upturned stair on the side of that top. So you can do that whichever order you want. It might be less confusing if you do the upside down ones first and then come back in with the normal stairs after, as you can see, but either way works, and it's really quite simple. And just like when we did the outer rings here and here and here, when we get to the middle of 5, we're going to have to swap over. Let's see, is that the middle? It doesn't really matter too much. No one's going to be looking at this part of your build. We're going to have to turn around there. So you go from facing your stairs that way to facing your stairs out this way instead. And I forgot to mention, actually, these top steps here, we're going to have a gap here if we leave them like this, you can see. So what I do is I come in and place a block there on every single one, which is a bit fiddly, especially if you're in survival, but hey, you're watching this, you really want it, so if you want it, that's how we do it, and we make sure that that joins up all the way round. Obviously, once we've done that, we have this log detailing here. It's basically 3 logs out, and all I've done is place them on the directly above the pillar, one each side, and exactly halfway in between at the middle point of each arch. That's the way I've spaced them out. I'm not going to show you exactly where they go because you can figure out roughly. And obviously once you get to that fifth corner, you have to swap directions. It looks a tiny bit janky. Maybe you can play about with that. If you want to try and put a diagonal one in, you can. Whatever floats your boat. I did that fairly quickly because honestly I think once you're down at eye level no one really notices that and it looks just fine. So once you've done the front side like that, we're going to come to the back side here, and we will need to fill in these corner spots here just to make life a bit easier. So make sure you do that before you start into building this side of the roof. And once you've got that in, what we're going to do is we are going to, and we can start this off by just popping a block there, and then we're going to go and put in a step block behind it like that, and we're going to then follow that all the way along like this, and every time we get to a corner such as this, we're just going to wrap it round like that, and then do that, and then do that, and we're going to go all the way around the circle until we have a full loop of stairs. So now we've done that, we can pop in the last bit, which is the roof with the red terracotta. So I'm just going to go 1 up, and then 2, and then 2. So we've got 2, 2, and 1. You can do that really any shape you like. That's just what I chose. And then it's just a question of filling that out. So we're going to take each of these and just go around with them like this. And then once you've done one layer, you come back, put in the next layer like that. And you know, you're going to have to just kind of go with it a little bit. This isn't an exact science. You're really just filling out the space. And again, most people aren't going to be up here all that much. So really you can just freehand that as you like. Again, any colour you like, any block you like, whatever works for you. And yeah, just go for it. When you get to this point here in the middle, you are going to find that you're going to have less space for blocks. So when you start to put in these bits here, you can see it starts to get closer together. And you will yeah, just have to use your common sense on that one. I don't think we need hard and fast rules. You can see I'm just eyeballing this, filling that in, and yeah, eventually you'll get it filled in and no one really looks at that. So it's just really to add that little bit of colour around the top. So guys, I think we're going to finish it here for this episode. This is going to be a multi-episode tutorial. It's going to take quite a lot to do all the details. I wanted to do the main structure for you guys first, because if that's all you want and all you need, and you're going to do the internals and the decoration yourself, then that's fine. You can take it from here and make it your own. If not, then tune in for part 2 and we will start to work on the interior here, and on the entrances into the arena on the inside walls here. So I would say one thing before we go, for those who are leaving us here and think they've got enough, I would say I build walkways here, and I'll tell you exactly what level I do them at. On the upper one, I put them here in line with the edge like that. But when you come down to this archway, I don't. I actually come down to the layer of the archway there to build. And the reason for that is because there is what's called a mezzanine, another level that's not there, and it's not there, it's actually here to let us out into the arena at this level of the paths. But that doesn't come all the way out to the edge of the building here, because if it did, if you notice, if we built that there, it would come out and look really weird there, and we don't see that because what we have is an inner ring like this that only comes halfway from that wall to the outer edge. It makes things so much easier when you're making your steps up from level to level, but if you want just the basics, I would recommend just putting in that one there and this one here, and obviously fill it all the way out until it connects with the inner wall, and just fill that all the way up. So there we go, guys, that's part 1 of the Colosseum tutorial finished. I hope that's been helpful and reasonably clear. As I've said, this is a very complex build, so it's really difficult to communicate quickly and easily, but there we go. Hope you have lots of fun trying that out in your own worlds, and we'll see you in the next one.